Yes, still morning, like, she's like, somebody's gotta do it, I mean, fine. Someone's gotta remind. Yeah, like she'll be brought into that.
Yes, it's the car's away, it's on the news, it's showing me that it's over. Not like this might come back around or.
Me levanté el próximo día y me acosté,
don't think mine's working as it is this now.
I know.
Yeah, I usually fly around with them. That's how I ended up getting in an accident. I ended up flying on the length of 11 and crash others. From the sky. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's right on the station.
I've been there, yeah. It's like, it's only 2 minutes from there. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's nice. No, it's not. Yeah.
Oh.
I do a lot of that. See.
You can do it.
That's all I have. Gracias. Buenos dias. Wait a second. Hold on. All right. Yours? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's a midlife crisis. I've done one for like 6 years now. You missed the ponytail. That was last year. I don't know. Hold on. I don't know. I kind of put Joey Ramone. Now I just let Joey Ramone show her hair. So, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you're gonna be up doing other.
Pero me gusta el grip, porque grip dicen que me quedé presa. Llevando presa. Seguiste muy fuerte.
Can't have that. Yeah, but I was like, shut up. That's what that was pretty
She
good.
won you chatting about.
Oh, yeah, John. I saw that. I watched it. I enjoyed it. It was great. What do you think about this?
All-star banner.
This is all we get. Yeah. Read for 20 seconds. Good time.
So I remember my parents were one of the people. They didn't send me to like, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I was telling you, so I actually went to my
No, the meeting, she had 12 hours of book.
yeah, it'll be right inside. Everybody that had questions about what happened in
You're good. Like, it's good. 36 years.
And just in general, be responsible. And I hate when I give somebody
Oh my God. You look like Scott Stapp.
Oh, wait. Scott Stapp at the beginning of his career, or
I don't know.
okay.
Probably so.
All right.
That's the image
He
I
had
have.
some Joel, it's nice to meet you. Yeah, so you put a face with a name. Yeah, no, thanks for always helping us out.
I do as much as I can. One person calls. So sometimes I just.
Well, I don't know.
But you know what? I just signed up for it.
Well, that's a great, good outlook.
But city budget, you know, I don't get all of it. Fire department. And she created whatever, like, when I started, she said, look, there's sort of the same structure of what Congress is. Oh, great. Hey, how's it going?
The challenge of being a node there, I know is filled by or someone, this is
Do you need to go downstairs? Now, the most important.
Well, they took mine one day, never returned it, so I don't have mine. So I saw your text. I was like, I put the mask like text out. I was like, I hate this. But I forgot to text you back, I think.
Okay. Nah, it's all good.
But,
I'm just seeing TV.
You want to go downstairs, Claire? Or awesome here?
so you know, service drop it.
Sorry? Hi. Yeah. I don't do this anymore. She does it.
Yeah, absolutely. This whole, you know,
Yeah, you shouldn't be. I used to do Rachel's jobs, and when she's on vacation, I don't remember her job, but when she's here, talk to her. That'd be better. Yeah.
where's home? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I grew up near Atlanta. And, was in the middle of the
I know, I was, and it feels like a certain way at a time.
nothing.
Everyone's credit. So it's like if they're just jumping on Zoom, they're good at what they do. They're right? Which is what you almost and
No, I was only
Regularly done thing. And so we were like very early on in the show.
yeah.
But thank you for saying hello. So you were asking.
Yeah, we're doing Wellington now.
Hey. Nice to meet you.
I'm divorced now. Yeah.
27th of the US. I sent it to the chief today. I'm done.
Yeah, they laid me off there and I moved the house and moved the wife. So I'm gonna be buying the house. The house right now.
When I flagged it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I found that I had that.
And so I understand it.
Yeah. All right. Who's?
No, you'll see the name guy.
Oh, hey, everyone, how you doing?
Part of the department, as part of that, and so I kind of
Oh,
gave them some
okay.
general like ballpark questions.
Oh, we have a time. No,
Yeah.
I'll find out.
all right, I'll see you.
So, would that be great? Same day. Same day. I would do same day, same time.
One of those like taking numbers.
Just because I haven't had any other responses, but I know the mayor's office is organizing a lot of stuff. So my phone is like that. So, if the mayor's office, Yes. Sorry, I misunderstood what you meant. But yeah, no, they would. That is okay. I see. I see. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, so I work contacts at sixth grade. January of 2021, I got LASIK. I could never see as well as I had with glasses and contacts. And then in like the past 6 months, I found myself severely near trying to wear contacts. These are bifocals. Like so now I'm far.
I'm over here.
Yeah. Now I'm farsighted. So it's just like. No, it's just basically. Yes. Because I was really nearsighted before we developed actually. So technically my eyes would be getting better. Problem is basically reset me back to zero.
Alright, there's a rumor people are coming upstairs. I'm going to turn on this mic. Supposedly everyone is coming upstairs now.
Okay. Do you use readers?
Here's perfect.
Yeah, everybody, bring everybody up there. 1 second, everybody.
Thank you.
Commissioner,
If you need me.
1 minute, everybody.
Waiting on one person, just 1 second. Dr. Watlington and Don.
Commissioner Bethel made a pit stop.
Okay, but just give us a few seconds. 1 second. Oh, Dr. Watlington is here, okay.
Yep. Commissioner Bethel.
And Don, okay. Right, right here. Yep.
Okay, ma'am, we're ready in the room.
Okay. Let me start by saying good morning to each of you. As you know, our region is expecting a significant winter storm, and my administration has been working around the clock to make sure that the city of Philadelphia is fully prepared to keep residents safe and, quite frankly, to keep our city moving. I want to begin by saying again clearly, Philadelphia, that we are ready. Our streets department, our Office of Emergency Management, police, fire, EMS, the water department, Parks and Rec, and all of our other partner agencies, they are here with me today and have activated their winter operations plans. Our crews, they have pre-treated and brined roads, salting and plowing equipment. It's fueled and staged, and our emergency response teams are on standby across the city of Philadelphia. Our priority is safety first and always. That means, from our perspective, that we hope you will help us by keeping our roadways as free as possible of any vehicles that don't necessarily need to be parked there. Why is this important? Because we have to make sure our roadways are passable for emergency vehicles, protecting critical infrastructure, and making sure that our most vulnerable residents have the supports that they need. I also now want to speak directly to the residents of the city. The expected snow accumulations and heavy snowfall rates will create hazardous roadway conditions for people and vehicles. Therefore, the city of Philadelphia is declaring a snow emergency in effect on Saturday, January 24th at 9 p.m. It will remain in effect until roadway conditions improve. Now, you will hear more about what that means from our officials later in the presser, but here that I am asking for your cooperation again by moving your vehicle by that deadline. That will help us to ensure that those 110 miles of critical roadway remain clear and open to assist the movement of emergency and essential service vehicles. Please take this storm seriously. Now is the time to prepare before precipitation begins to fall on Saturday. Limit unnecessary travel once conditions worsen, and if you must be out, give yourself extra time. Drive slowly and stay off the roads if conditions become hazardous so our crews and first responders can do their jobs safely. We all know that Philadelphia is a resilient city, and we have weathered storms before, and we will weather this one together by being prepared and looking out for one another, and by following the guidance of our public safety professionals. Let's get through the next few days in one Philly fashion, and that means checking on our neighbors, especially our seniors and people with disabilities, and making sure you have what you need at home. And speaking of one Philly, I right now, very intentionally and in advance, want to especially thank our municipal workers and our first responders, because they are right now, and during this storm, they will carry a tremendous amount of pressure as they work to deliver for our city. They're going to be working long hours in very difficult conditions, and we want them to know that we are grateful for them and we appreciate them. When the snow starts I want to be very clear as possible. And this has become standard operating procedure for the Parker administration. I remember when I first arrived, we had our first snowstorm and our first meeting. And I said, what's the plan for tertiary streets? And Director Williams, I don't know if you remember, the response was, well, in the city of Philadelphia, we don't usually get to tertiary streets. And I say under the Parker administration, that will be unacceptable. We will make every effort to get to every primary, secondary, and tertiary street in the city of Philadelphia, and that is our standard. Now, this is where I am always going to push back on behalf of our municipal workforce. People will often ask, how long will it take? And as I said during that time, it will take as long as it takes for them to do their job safely, efficiently, and as effectively as possible. But know that we won't leave any neighborhood, any block, or any community behind. I now want to turn this over to Director Williams, who is the City of Philadelphia's leader in this snow emergency, and he's going to walk through our snow operations and how it will all impact city services. And I do want to especially say thank you, Director Williams, for assuming this responsibility when your city needs you most. Carlton Williams.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank Mayor Parker for her continuous leadership, dedication, and commitment. Mayor Parker concludes every presentation with a powerful message: one Philly, a united city. She says it to highlight that we are at our best when we work together to get things done. Today, Mayor, with your permission, we are starting this announcement with that same approach: one Philly, a united city, because that is exactly what it will take to navigate this major snow emergency. With forecasts calling for 12 inches of snow starting tomorrow, we're activating an intergovernmental, collaborative, proactive response among city departments, quasi-governmental agencies, and nonprofit partners. Many of them are here today, including our Operations Emergency Management Director, Dominic Morales, Streets Department Commissioner, Kristen Del Rossi, and I want to say publicly, she's been working since the last storm. As you know, the last two that we just had this past weekend. So we transitioned into the preliminary event and now getting ready for the main event. Sanitation Commissioner Crystal Jacob Chipman and your team, thank you so much for all of the support, resources, equipment. Parks and Recreation Commissioner Susan Slauson and Deputy Commissioner Sue Buck are here today as well. We'll be focusing on making sure we get those centers open as quickly as possible. Water Commissioner Ben Jewell, Eclipse Tom Conway, Fleet Management Joe Rosati, along with Commissioner Bethel and Commissioner Thompson from the Fire Department, along with many other departments. Collectively, we are working to address this major snow event. There are so many others committed to dedicating and committed to fighting this storm to make our roads safe and accessible during this emergency. And I want to go over the details of that operation because it's very critical with the timing of the snow that is expected to come in this Sunday. The city is currently executing a 24/7 deployment, full deployment strategy. That means our crews have already began brining the streets as of this Wednesday and will continue to do so up until the storm. We have mobilized over 1,000 workers, and including drivers and outside contractors, to work around the clock with multiple shifts with over 600 pieces of equipment and over 30,000 tons of salt at the ready to making sure that our roads are safe and passable for pedestrians, motorists, and of course our emergency responders. I just want to reiterate what Mayor Parker talked about earlier about tertiary streets. Those are those small, residential, narrow streets that are often overlooked in the past, but not under this administration. We are very committed to making sure that their safety is a priority, and we've put on extra equipment, extra resources, so while at the same time our primary and secondary roads are being plowed, so is our tertiary and residential streets. We will fully deploy our district residential cleaning program at recreation centers to clear walkways, Our future track trainees will help and assist with ADA ramps around the city of Philadelphia. And I need to say, based on the amount of accumulation, we have a lifting and a melting operation in place to manage snow in densely populated neighborhoods with narrow streets. This includes lifting the snow to designated locations for snow piling and the deployment of an industrial-sized melter to ensure that business corridors and neighborhoods remain accessible. We know that there are challenges throughout our cities in certain terrains, especially in the Northwest, in the Roxborough area, and the northwest section of the city where we have those hilly routes. And I know Scott is here, is going to talk about SEPTA and trying to get up those hills so that we can get access. We are committed to making sure that we provide extra care to those locations, including salt and walkways and those hilly areas, to ensure that they have safe access as well. To ensure all resources are focused on snow removal, trash and recycling services will be suspended for Monday, January 26th, and all trash for the remainder of the week will be pushed back a day. Residents are asked to hold their trash and recycling until the next day, and there will be no 2-day-a-week trash collection in those neighborhoods who receive that service. In addition, all driveway collections, due to the volume and the amount of snow, are suspended. We're asking residents who have driveway collections to bring their trash out front or use the drop-off center to take their trash, as we will not have access to those locations because those areas are not plowed. There will be further adjustments to the trash and recycling collection snow removal process if the collection process and the removal process is extended. We're asking residents to stay tuned in to our local media outlets and social media stations for additional announcements. We will make those additional announcements as we progress through the storm. Finally, I want to talk to our citizens. We urgently request your patience and your cooperation as we fight this storm. We're asking public to please follow these safety guidelines, and many of them were mentioned by our mayor earlier. Do not park on designated snow emergency routes. Your cars will be towed. Snow emergency routes are necessary for our emergency responders to get to a location as quickly as possible, and parked cars impede that process. Intersection safety. Please do not park on corners or illegally park in locations that blocks access for our plows, especially in those smaller knit communities where it's already difficult for our crews to navigate. Parking on corners make it that much more difficult. Residents, if you don't have to go out, stay home. Residents are encouraged to stay home to allow a safer, faster clearing and for their own public safety as well. Exercise extreme caution if you must travel. Use caution on the roadways. Follow designated school and time zones that prohibit parking, especially on our interstates. And I know PennDOT usually sets those for our interstates, but even in the city where we have speed limits, please make sure to use extra precaution. When you're clearing walkways, please make sure you clear a 36-inch path. I know people have snow blowers and they like to see how high they can shoot it up into the air, into the street. That does not do us any good. You are slowing down our operation. It causes snow mounds and snowpack. Ultimately, it causes hazardous driving conditions. Please make sure you are very respectful and courteous. And if you need to do that in your own property, on your own yard, not on the streets, so that our crews can get through this emergency as quickly as possible. Make sure we clear fire hydrants. Please clear snow and ice around the fire hydrants to ensure access for our emergency responders. And residents should monitor the storm official channels at www.phila.gov, our official social media outlets at the City of Philadelphia, the Office of Clean and Green, Streets Department, and the Department of Transportation MBO office. We have a number of them. And if you want to look at our plow operations in progress, we have a platform called streetsmartphl.phila.gov that you can see when your street has been plowed. I want to talk about 311 for a moment. 311 will be operating fully during this storm. Please be advised, though, that these complaints will be serviced after the operation has been closed. And this is very important because when we're out there on our routes, we can't stop the service complaints because it disrupts our operation. We may still be working. We may have gotten to that route. We may need to come back. We don't know how long this storm will continue, and we may need to come back a few times. That's why even long after the last snowflake has fallen, we'll be out there working. We appreciate your patience and cooperation during this emergency as our teams, our city workforce, is working hard to keep our roads safe and accessible for our citizens during this emergency. At this point, I would like to introduce our OEM Director, Dominic Morales, who's going to talk to you more about our city's response to this snow emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Williams. Thank you, Mayor Parker. Good morning. I'm Dominic Morales, the Deputy Managing Director for Community Safety and the city's Emergency Management Director. Like many of the city agencies you've heard from so far, the Managing Director's Office, all of the constituent agencies, and Office of Emergency Management have been implementing the city's winter weather plan since last week. With that is the coordination of city forces and all regional, state, and federal stakeholders for winter weather operations. We have been in a preparedness posture this entire week for the snow, have been activated at the city's Emergency Operations Center for the Enhanced Code Blue warming response since Tuesday, and will be moving the Emergency Operations Center to a full activation Saturday night aligned with the snow emergency. The EOC is the city's central 24/7 in-person hub for coordinating all public safety, transportation, infrastructure, medical, and human services functions. This partnership spans more than 36 agencies and hundreds of officials and stakeholders. Our city agencies have been preparing all week and have run these plans before. We are ensuring that our essential workers can get in and are supported while they're here. We have been checking and preparing our equipment with the Departments of Public Property, Fleet, and many others, and we are monitoring our own critical infrastructure, including ice patrols at our water intake plants, and we are prepared to hunker down, whether that's our 911 call takers, or whether that's here in the EOC or at the yards supporting the snow operation, and to respond throughout this storm. Now, we need to emphasize the snow emergency routes. Emergency services and essential services have to continue. The emergency snow routes are to allow that to happen. Our fire department, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs respond to more than 1,000 emergencies every single day, and that number does not stop because of the snow. And so we need you to keep those routes clear with us. To support that, visit the city's website, phila.gov. You can see where those routes are. Look where you park. There is a sign, very noticeable, that says this is a snow emergency route. The Philadelphia Parking Authority will institute $5 flat rate parking beginning at 7 p.m. on Saturday at any of their lots. And you can visit philapark.org to figure out where those lots are that might be closest to you. Please stay off of those routes. Fines and relocation are a part of the snow emergency process, and we can all avoid that if you can avoid those routes by 9 p.m. Saturday. Now, with these comments, I'm going to deputize all Philadelphians because we all are going to be responders and emergency response neighbors throughout this storm. Like we are prepared, we are asking you to prepare. 3 things I need you to do. First, stay connected to information by signing up for free text message and emails from the City of Philadelphia. The system is called Ready Philadelphia. You can go to www.phila.gov/ready, or you can text one word, READYPHILA, to the number 888-777. Again, READYPHILA to the number 888-777 for those free emergency alerts. If you go online, you will also be able to have the option to sign up for multiple languages and American Sign Language to ensure that we're communicating with you throughout this storm. Number 2, I need you to do at home. Prepare your home, shovel safely, dress warmly, and check on those neighbors. Online, we have plenty of tips from all of the agencies that are up here. How to address freezing pipes and water emergencies, how to heat your home safely, how to heat your home safely in the event of a power loss or other home heating loss, what to do if you lose power, how to shovel safely, take breaks, not overexert yourself, and more. Today, you still have time to prepare, and tomorrow, Saturday, in anticipation of limited and difficult travel on Sunday into Monday. Now, this does not mean to hoard. We have seen some of the grocery stores already. That is not necessary. There are absolutely plenty of supplies, and the supply chains for groceries and goods are still performing regular activity. You may find a store that is out at that exact moment. They may be resupplied several hours later. Now is not the time to hoard and to take something critical that your neighbor might need. And I can back that because, again, that interagency, intergovernmental, private sector, nonprofit partnership, we are talking with those suppliers around the clock through the Emergency Operations Center. Additionally, our colleagues from PECO, the Philadelphia Water Department, and several more are up here if you have any of those utility questions. Third thing I need you to do at home, and final thing, report dangerous and unsafe conditions. If a tree falls during a storm and poses an immediate safety threat, call 911. If power lines come down, call 911 or call PECO's emergency line. If an unsafe building is present, call 911. If it's a more routine alert you've heard for this storm and as a part of the city's storm response, 311 is taking those routine reports as well. But if it's an emergency, call 911. Emergency arborists from Parks and Recreation, building inspectors from L&I, our 311 call takers, our 911 call takers, we are all working and prepared to work throughout this storm 24/7. Philadelphia, as you've heard and as you know, is a city of neighborhoods. Be a great neighbor. Check in with the elderly, vulnerable, even just friends and family who may be isolated or could use an extra hand with a recent medical need. Make sure they have your number if you have an emergency and you have their number. The storm is only one of the winter weather hazards we'll face, but we're going to face it together, and we're doing our part, and we know Philadelphia will do their part. Thank you. Now, Commissioner Bethel.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, that's pretty good. I was thinking about hoarding. My mother-in-law's got like 4 loaves of bread. I'm like, there's only. My wife had to put it back. She says she only needs one person because she got 4 loaves of bread. So it's very important. You know, first I want to thank the mayor for her leadership. I mean, she constantly talked about standard operating procedures, and this is what it looks like. And since we've been together, this is the work, the making sure everybody's focused. I also want to thank you when you recognize not just the first responders, but all of us, all of the men and women who are going to be sworn and non-sworn, are going to be on the front lines over this storm, how important they are. It means a lot to all of us, and I know on behalf of them, I want to say thank you for that. And I also want to recognize everybody's up here, OEM, the entire team, but I do have to give an acknowledgement to Carlton. I mean, you know, I've been, ladies and gentlemen, I've been around a long time. You know, I'm in my 40th year. I've never seen anyone so dedicated to this city and getting things done on behalf of this mayor. And so I'm just so honored to stand here because I have 2 roles. One is primary. You know, we're going to continue to do our 911 response. We're going to ask individuals to be very mindful of just calling 911 for just emergency situations. You know, we can get to a lot of the other secondary 311, will be able to handle a lot of that because it is going to be one of the more challenging periods for us as we move. So we have our primary responding, but part of our role in this engagement is a secondary to really be able to support the men and women who are up here today, and particularly the operations. So you'll continue to hear this theme, stay off the roads. We figure if all of us say it, maybe different people will listen. Maybe you'll listen to the police department. As we say, it's really, really critical during the height of this storm to stay off the roads. We are communicating effectively across the board with our Office of Emergency Management, Department of Streets, the mayor's office, SEPTA and Scott and his team. All of us are working collectively to make sure that we're able to do that. You heard the conversation around the emergency lanes. We are going to be supporting that. I will have my team out there supporting the parking authority. We will have tow operations. You've heard the emergency declaration, so it gives you an opportunity well in advance. Because I'm telling you right now, we are going to be removing those cars. We are going to be clearing those areas to make sure that the team can work effectively. We also want to recognize that, you know, we have a homeless population. The mayor talked about that earlier, about what are we going to do with those individuals. We will be partnering with our team here. Those who are a vulnerable population, they can come to our district, and we will transport them to a warming station. And you'll hear some conversation about that after when I transition over. But we also will be out in the field. If we identify someone who needs support, that will be very important to us. So, again, we are going to be very much in our support. Our 911 center will be up and running effectively. We've done some additional assets to make sure we can staff that appropriately. It is taking an all-hands-on effort to get this accomplished. There's no one entity doing that, and so I'm just honored to be a part of this team and be able to support this to get us through this period. I now will pass this over to Director of Housing and Human Services, Crystal Yates-Gale.
Good morning, everybody. Remember, stay off the emergency roads. That's not part of my talking points, but as the commissioner said, if we all say it, people will listen. So, good morning. My name is Crystal Yates Gale, and I'm going to provide an update on Code Blue, led by the Office of Homeless Services, and Enhanced Code Blue, that is led by the Office of Emergency Management with the Office of Homeless Services, in collaboration with the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services, the Health Department, the libraries, Parks and Recs, CLIP, Public Safety, the police, and fire departments. One Philly is for real. First, let me define a Code Blue. Code Blue operations begin when temperatures reach 32 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, or if the wind chill factor is 20 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. At that point, OHS adds additional shelter bed capacity. Once the city experiences these temperatures for 3 days, we are then in an Enhanced Code Blue operation. At that point, we open warming centers at select libraries during the daytime, 12 hours during the day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and recreation centers for the nighttime, 12 hours again, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. We have been in an Enhanced Code Blue since Tuesday, January the 20th at 9 p.m. We will remain in an Enhanced Code Blue through this next week. The warming centers provide a warm space with water, snacks, blankets, warming kits, and nursing services. We always encourage people who are living in the cold on the street to accept a shelter bed first. If they refuse, we will, as a team, get them to one of our warming centers. The warming centers are also available if you're experiencing problems in your own home with cold. So therefore, our unhoused neighbors, as well as our neighbors that have homes but are having problems with the cold. If you need help or observe someone out in extreme weather conditions, please call Homeless Outreach. That phone number is 215-232-1984 to access a shelter or a warming center. I repeat, 215-232-1984. And for last night, I want to give you an update. We did reach capacity at almost all of our warming centers. We had 5 warming centers open. They all reached capacity with the exception of one that is in the far northeast. We still had capacity. Our shelter beds for men, women, and families are also at capacity. And I should add that we will be adding 150 beds over the next week or two to our shelter bed system, leading us toward the mayor's 1,000 additional shelter bed goal. All libraries participating in warming center operations were open as of 9 a.m. this morning, and they are in operations. You can access more information, and you can see the map of all the warming centers at www.phila.gov/getwarm. There's a link to the warming sites map that includes locations and hours of operations, and then you can also reach out to Homeless Outreach if you see someone or if you need help yourself. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to SEPTA.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. SEPTA continues working closely with the City of Philadelphia and our other partners as the storm approaches. We have also been active for the last several days, working hand in hand with the Office of Emergency Management and the Mayor's office. We know there's going to be significant service disruptions as the storm settles in this weekend. We'll provide regular updates to all of our customers through our website, septa.org, the SEPTA app, and with announcements through the news media and, of course, at all of our facilities. As the forecast stands now, Sunday appears to be a very difficult day for travel. Significant accumulations of snow and ice are likely to create unsafe conditions both on the roads and the rails, and we'll be making adjustments. Customers should expect impacts to bus, trolley, and regional rail service. This will almost certainly include trip cancellations, and it is likely we may have to entirely shut down some services. We will only operate for as long as it is safe to do so. Whenever possible, we'll announce service shutdowns at least 2 hours before they go into effect so that riders will have time to adjust their travel plans. We know there are essential workers who have to travel during the storm. The best options for them are the Market Frankfurt and the Broad Street lines, now known as the L and the B. We can keep those lines running because large portions of them are underground. And by continuing to operate trains frequently, we can keep the elevated tracks clear of snow and ice. In addition to ensuring that we're operating safely during the storm, we also need to have an eye toward recovery. This storm will upend things for all of us for a couple days, but then it is going to be time to get back to work, school, and normal weekday routines. SEPTA service needs to be ready for the return. By taking a proactive approach and suspending services before conditions become unsafe, we also greatly reduce the chances that our buses and trains will get stranded or damaged. And out of harm's way, our crews are able to get them ready for their return once conditions improve. I want to stress during the height of the storm, please do not travel if you don't need to. But if you do have to go out, please make sure you're checking for our service updates. Be safe in your travels. Do not approach any moving trains or buses. And please have a contingency plan in the event that services are disrupted. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
All right. Good morning. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for including the school district in your intergovernmental collaboration this morning. This year, I wanted to note that based on the projected forecast, all schools in the district will be closed on Monday, January 26th for both students and staff, and also essential staff workers will report and receive directions from their respective supervisors in advance. Today, all schools will send home charged Chromebooks with students prior to dismissal. And certainly, Madam Mayor, as a father of three, as a parent, I understand how important it is for our children to have fun and experience one of our core values in our strategic plan, which is joy. And accordingly, we're inviting students and staff to enjoy this snowfall, which will be the most I've seen during my nearly 4 years here in Philadelphia. And so they can do. I'm sorry.
Not enjoy it too much.
Commissioner Bethel gave us. Commissioner Bethel says don't enjoy it too much. Sledding is appropriate. Snow angels are appropriate, and the commissioner gave us permission this morning, Madam Mayor. He said it would be okay to have one or two safe and fun snowball fights.
All right.
Is that right, sir? All right. Very safe.
Very safe.
Okay. Snow days create those memorable opportunities, and moving forward, after Monday, should we not be in school, every subsequent day will be a remote learning day with the Chromebooks. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Philadelphia, we wanted to make sure that we were able to affirm for you that we are prepared for this weather storm and using what is our standard operating procedure, which is our intergovernmental and intergovernmental collaboration that we have with our local, state, and federal partners. But right now, Commissioner Bethel, Director Williams, and Dom, I just had a flashback to the blizzard of '96.
36.
And Commish and Dom and Director Williams, I thought about people
He was 10 years old, man.
who spent hours digging out spaces in front of their houses. And when they were able to get around, they moved their cars and then they put chairs, Dom, or whatever they could find, or cones in those spaces. I really do want us to be overly prescriptive here today to formally and officially affirm what do we do in these matters, because you hear me and I'm, being a little humorous and talking about the remembrance of that time. But I also remember, Commissioner, where there were some very heated and aggressive actions that were taken as a result of someone parking in someone's spot after they had spent 5 hours, digging out that spot. So I'm going to turn to our commissioner, to Director Williams, and to Dom to give us some guidance on what we should do should that be the case.
I almost got him to come up. Well, listen, I think heck, with any 36 inches, they do without any snow on the ground these days, right? I mean, we are going to encourage our community not to engage in that activity. we have seen, and in some significant case, something very significant from those events. We understand. That has been some, part of the culture for decades. But we also have to recognize what that leads to, right? I mean, so, we encourage, and I think it goes back to what Adam said in his remarks, and I believe Carlton, that's where we have to band together. If the block comes out and cleans the block, then it's not about saving my spot. It's about saving our spots, right? And so that's why when you hear that message is so important. But we will respond to those incidences where we see cones. We will remove those cones if we observe those cones, because that is our duty to do that. But we just encourage everyone. As the mayor's, she's always one Philly, right? We have to work together to get through this process. If we do it effectively, I never in my lifetime cleaned one spot and didn't do my neighbors, and my neighbor didn't do his neighbor, and the neighbor didn't do neighbor, right? That's who we are. That's the grit of who we are as a city. And so, so let's make sure that we practice that. And I think it's been said by folks before me. If we do that, we get through this process successfully. We don't have any disruption. Folks can park on the block. We do the things that Carlton asked us to do, and we can make this a success. All right. You're welcome. Yeah.
Sure. Just want to reiterate some of the words that we talked about helping your neighbor. Be courteous. This is going to require neighbors working together. Help them out with the snow, the elderly. Come on block. If you have an elderly person on your block, the snow can be very heavy. I think they talked about the health risk of lifting that type of snow. I think that there's an increase in health emergencies when people are shoveling. Those are the things that we have to watch out for. And it's easier if you do it together, right? If one person in the village is trying to clean out their snow, it takes a longer time. But if you get a collective group, make it something that you on the block can band together about and help each other out. Clear those spaces so everybody can park on the block. So we won't have those incidents of having to be putting cones in locations. So that's what we're asking, to be true Philadelphians. Step up, help your neighbor, show the love, and just go a bit above and beyond what you would normally do for your own personal house and help somebody. So I think that's the message that we want to send out to the city out to today. If you do that, we can get through this together.
I also want you, Director Williams, while you're here, if you will, because these are just communications and calls that I've received from people in preparation for today. You mentioned the amount of salt we have available, and I do know that it has been reported that some other regions may have challenges, and I got some very frantic communications from some of my fellow mayors saying, hey, make sure that you're on it because there's a challenge right now in securing. Are we prepared?
Yes. So we have 30,000 tons of salt to fight this storm. We are working with our vendors and contractors and our legal teams and also the state, because we understand that there's been some shortages in the regional area. So that for future storms, that is a concern for us that we are going to address. And so we're going to get additional supplies in, but we're going to be very efficient with the use of the salt during this operation. So what we're working on is this will start off as a plow operation, and then we will come back and use the salting part of it as well so that we can make the best use of the salt that we have. So 30,000 tons seems like a lot, but when you have a storm like this, it sucks it up very quickly. Last weekend, of those two storms, we used 10,000 tons of salt. So it'll just tell you when you have a snowstorm that'll probably be 2 times or 3 times much larger. The other part, Mayor, is the cold temperatures that we're concerned that's going to follow in to this storm. So we want to get ahead of this as quickly as possible. That's why Commissioner Del Rossi, Commissioner Shipman, our water commissioner who is here as well, they're all collectively, Benjul, we're all collectively going to be working tirelessly around the clock to try to get as much as that snow up as quickly as possible, that snowpack that becomes ice, because once it becomes in that condition, salt won't penetrate it. So we want to make sure that we get out of this storm as quickly as possible. We'll constantly be plowing. We're bringing in extra pieces of equipment in those high hilly terrains that are difficult, especially for SEPTA to be able to transport our riders. So those are the things that we're taking as a precaution. But salt is certainly something that we're keeping our eye on, and we certainly will address it not only during this storm, but long after.
Listen, Philadelphia, I wanted us to gather today to report on where we are in preparing for this upcoming snow emergency. But what I'm also really proud of here is today the amazing preparedness and the subject matter expertise that has been displayed by our leaders throughout this administration and our partnership with all of the utilities, local, state, federal. I'm really grateful to have this amazing team. I also, and I promised I would do this, I have a few little cousins who have entrepreneurial spirits, and they have called people on their blocks and knocked on doors in advance to say, you know, Mr. Johnson, Miss Brown, if it snows and we get a lot of snow, can we help to shovel? And so for them, I do want to say that I'm happy that they are trying to add value commission in a one Philly manner, but they're also trying to save some sneaker money at the same time. So I won't hold that against them, Dr. Wallington. Now we want to make sure that we take some questions. Yes.
Sure. Commissioner Del Rossi, and I'm going to ask her to also join me in reference to the operation because she'll be overseeing it as well. But what it requires is small equipment going in first. We call them Pippins. They're small front-end loaders to navigate through smaller streets, and then we have to stage vehicles like front-end loader, tractor trailers, and triaxles so that we can then load onto the equipment, and then we take it to its final destination, either the snow melter or one of the locations. I do want to acknowledge Superintendent Watlington and his team, Oz Hill, and so many others for quickly, the Department of Public Property, PHDC for identifying the naval base for one of the locations that we can take that amount of snow to and allow it to melt naturally. That is the plan, because we cannot take it to other locations that will cause environmental hazards. So we've identified locations and unused buildings that we ultimately will take that to in local neighborhoods so we can get back quickly as possible and continue that operation. Commissioner Del Rossi, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
We just ask that you have patience while we're doing this lifting operation. It can definitely congest a neighborhood, and we will have to shut down streets, but rest assured we will allow you access to your homes. Just please be patient, because we will be shutting streets down, because we need to use the loaders to load the dry axles to haul the snow away, to have it then melted or piled up in these locations. So we please ask that you be patient with us, because it will be a little disruptive for a few hours in your neighborhood, but at the end we promise you'll be able to get around better and safely.
Just the question I have with patience, everybody, you know, that's a tough thing, you know that. Are you guys planning for this to be kind of a week-long event where people should be you know, taking that into note, like, hey, this is going to be here for the next couple of days, so prepare for that. It's not just going to be a Monday thing and we're back to normal on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, that's a great question, because we all up here think about these things in phases, right? And so, as I mentioned, we're all very clearly today and tomorrow still in the preparedness phase. We have time to not hoard, but get what we need to and do what we need to. And then we go into response. And response is going to be dictated by the weather. And many of our media partners here who have your own meteorologists and weather reports will be watching you. We'll be talking to the National Weather Service. We'll be using our third-party contractor weather forecasting as well, so we can make the best decisions in real time. But a lot about how long we're in that mode dictates not only the response, but then the recovery. So it is fair to assume that Sunday and Monday, we will be in a very full posture citywide, getting emergency routes open and getting streets passable. That's an important thing to know. And passable means you can get the car down. It doesn't mean you see blacktop right there. They're passable. The following days, we're going to be in extremely cold. So pushing this snow, unlike the last storm, the sun came up, a little bit of more liquid precipitation came down. That melted a lot of what we saw last weekend. It is very cold. The snow is going to come. It's going to accumulate quickly, and it's going to stay. And so that means just pushing it to the storm drain, it's not going to disappear as quickly. It's going to pile up. So in that recovery phase, which may start later Monday, it may start more likely Tuesday, you're going to see the mounds of snow. You're going to see some sidewalks and that still need TLC, and we're still going to be lifting into that process. And those mounds that you've heard, we've all seen it. You've been past the shopping centers. Mounds can stay for weeks. weeks when we're above freezing as well. So we've been really thoughtful about where those locations are. But patience and the mayor's question about what we can do in the neighborhood, we asked you all to be patient. But I want to emphasize we're doing our part as well. Working with the mayor is incredibly inspiring, and that's not because she's my boss and standing here. But if you spend 5 minutes with her, at war with the status quo means something to everybody who's up here. This snow melter has not been here for years. The lifting operation we have not had to do, but also have not done in a bit. Putting out future tracker workers to get to our rec centers and to get to other community sites. That is what's different and what's behind the scenes, and that is the logistical challenge and opportunity that we are navigating through around the clock. And we are doing our part, and our messages to the public is in asking you to understand that and to work with us through it. So thank you for your question.
Shelter beds already at capacity, and 4 of the 5 warming centers filling up last night. Is the instruction for people who need warming center services to just go to the facility in the Northwest?
No. So the question is whether or not people need to go to the facility in the Northeast that was open yesterday. No, because the capacity changes daily, and we monitor that continually, and if necessary, we open additional warming centers. So the best answer is to still either go to the police precinct in your district to be able to be transported, or call the outreach number, and they'll be able to get you to the appropriate place. But also make sure to check the website that was mentioned earlier, because it will have up to date what warming centers are open at that time.
Just based on your question, it's very important to me because misinformation disseminates rather quickly. The city of Philadelphia did not just specifically identify any one warming center in any one location. We have a citywide map. And where is that located? Can you just please tell people where they can find it?
www.phila.gov/getwarm. Last night we had 15. We had 4 or 5 available, 15 throughout the day. So we're adding them as we need them. We continue to add shelter beds, as we said. We have 3,500 beds in the shelter system right now, and we're adding at least 150 more within the next week or two. So we're not going to leave anybody behind.
Thank you. So I just, again, sometimes people will run and move quickly with something. So thank you for that clarity. And yeah, Marco?
Governor Hochul in New York has already told state workers to stay home. What are the plans right now for city workers and also for private sector workers for Monday?
So I'm going to ask Dom to come back up because I think you heard him affirm that we're in stages. But I do know from the city of Philadelphia's perspective, Tiffany Thurman, my chief of staff, is in the back there. When will we post? So can you please come up here and affirm that? Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Tiffany Thurman, Chief of Staff to Mayor Cherelle Parker. We had a meeting this morning, a comprehensive meeting with all of our municipal government leaders, and determined that by Sunday morning at 8 a.m. we will make a determination on whether the city is open for business or closed for business.
Did we just say, because misinformation travels rather quickly, did we just say that all city employees are to report to work on Monday in the midst of the storm? That is not what we said. What we did just affirm is that the city of Philadelphia will publicly post notice via email on our website, and we will also in our Dom, do we do them daily, or sometimes if we have to do a communication to press it twice? How often are we communicating?
That's a great question, ma'am. There's a handful of resources to be aware of for those updates. So we communicate under Chief's leadership with our employee workforce through our city-focused communication pathways. City workers should check their email, before they go home today and once or twice over the weekend for some of those communications. But that's one layer. The next layer, which will include public information about city services, and open and close is not a black and white decision because there are numerous emergency and essential services that are still open and available when the city is closed. And so it will be nuanced when that announcement comes out. And that'll be communicated through Ready Philadelphia, the text and email service. You will get a notification about that status. A press release will be updated. One will go out today with the current state of city services. One will go out over the weekend, at least one over the weekend. And we'll continue that as we get in out of the preparedness phase to response phase and into recovery phase. And the third piece I want to highlight is the city's keeping a blog updated as well. phila.gov. At the banner, it will have a link that talks about Code Blue. It'll have a link about snow emergency routes, and it'll have a link that talks about the city's snow fighting. Go there, and that will be up to the minute what those city services are. And as an added bonus, and we're very proud of the language accessibility of that city website and our leaders at OIT, you can click your preferred language up there, and that entire web page will go into, I'm going to get the number wrong, but it is many, many languages that are available. And so that is the way to continue to get that information. And, you know, we'll remain dynamic. And really the message right now and the city right now is focusing on making all of our preparations, starting operations on this weekend, while also making sure that we can still pick up and dust off in all the places we can starting Monday. Thank you, ma'am.
1 second. Anyone else who hasn't asked a question? Are there any questions from anyone who hasn't asked a question? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Here.
Oh, okay. Did you say for the $5 lots, the PPA lots, is that every PPA lot? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everyone. Okay. I went to the website, but it didn't specify snow emergency, and that's for the duration of the emergency.
We just announced a snow emergency in this press conference, so those communications are coming, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I'm just letting the numbers sink in a little bit. Mr. Williams, the 30,000 tons of salt, thinking about 10,000 for the last storm. I mean, if that's not enough, is there a contingency, or do we think that's enough?
So we believe that's enough to get us started. You know, when this storm comes, we'll assess our conditions. But right now, we're being as efficient as possible, and that came down from PEMA, who gave that directive to all of the region's officials and municipalities because they were having difficulties obtaining salt. And so that gave us a heads up to start calling our law department, our procurement department, and everyone else to figure out what we need to do not only for this storm, but for future storms ahead, because we are still early in the winter and we may get another storm like this. So we are going to do everything that we can to refill those salt domes to ensure that we have adequate material to be able to service the citizens of Philadelphia.
That's a very good question. Thank you for that. I also want to affirm for those of you who paid attention, and Dom, I only learned this because of what we experienced during the plane crash. Our OEM emergency unit, they are functioning 24 hours a day, and you all were getting like updates and gatherings. I'm talking about like hourly, like every 3 hours or every 4 hours. It was amazing just to like watch you all, the subject matter experts, at work. So information, you know, it will change, but they have a system and a process for making sure they communicate it real time. So I appreciate your question. Thank you. Yes.
We talked a lot about being good neighbors and not parking illegally, that sort of thing. Will the city be issuing tickets for folks that don't shovel their sidewalks?
Absolutely, 100%. We will. 6 hours after the storm, we expect our residents to be out there because, again, this is a safety issue. If that becomes frozen or we can't get access to someone because sidewalks aren't shoveled, that's a problem for our emergency responders. That's a problem for pedestrians who are trying to get to work, children going to school, and it becomes a safety hazard. So we have to enforce that. We need residents to clear their pathway so that we can have accessible walkways just as we can have accessible streets.
Okay, first I want to make sure that we have addressed everything we needed to address as it relates to weather. Director Williams and Water Commissioner who's here, I just want to make sure that you affirm what you just shared in our earlier briefing about, is it ice choppy?
Ice Patrol.
Ice Patrol. Can you all share? I've never heard of it before. Can you talk about what that is, Commissioner, what you all are doing? And have you ever done that before? Like, I don't know. Talk about it, please.
Hi, good morning. Ben Jewell, Water Commissioner. The Water Department's been in winter weather enhanced response mode since December of 2025. As we've watched this storm come in, we're preparing to deal with kind of the double whammy of snow and extreme cold that will linger for a long time. Extreme cold puts ice on the river, and that ice also impacts our facilities. So starting tonight, we'll be standing up our first 24-hour operation to monitor and mitigate the impacts of ice at our facilities. We'll be monitoring both rivers and adjusting that plan as necessary as we move forwards through this event, through at least next weekend based on the weather report at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I just wanted you to affirm that, Philadelphia, because I know sometimes when we think about a snow emergency or weather emergency, Dom, we just think it's plows, and we don't know about the science and just all of the cooperation and collaboration that it takes in order to get through it all. And again, I want to say a special thank you to the team. I will now take a question that is off topic, and I'm ready.
Thanks, Mayor. Can you comment on the decision behind the exhibits at the President's house and your reaction to that?
Let me affirm for the residents of the city of Philadelphia that there is a cooperative agreement between the city and the federal government that dates back to 2006. That agreement requires parties to meet and confer if there are to be any changes made to an exhibit. And our city solicitor, Renee Garcia, is working in conjunction with the amazing members of our law department team in working to follow up on that cooperative agreement, and we will keep you posted as to the results of all of our action. And that's all of the comment that I will be making about that issue on today. Thank you all so very much for being here, and we will be back in touch with you very soon. And thank you for your question. All right, have a good day.
Good morning, Madam Chief of Staff.
Good morning, sir.
Good to see you.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Happy New Year. I have one more week where I